Welcome everyone to the meeting, and we have apologies from the Mayor, John Colton. We don't have an apology from Chris. Welcome, Chris. Councillor Lyndon Mulligan and Councillor Jim Moore. So could someone move those apologies?
So moved.
Thank you, Dave. Jeff? Dave, Jeff, got them. Confirmation that the minutes held on the 27th of July are circulated. Tiffany and Marilyn.
Okay.
We have no nil presentations, a declaration of interest, gifts received and conflicts of interest. Lee, have you noted one for the Warriors?
Yes.
And Alex, did you note one for the... Move to accept the late items. There were 4, weren't there? Yes.
No, there's only one late item. It's the
Confidential.
In the confidential.
yeah, but it needs to be accepted onto the agenda if you're happy to do it. Items for this.
Tiffany. Oh,
Second.
sorry. Got them. Okay. So we need the officers' report, number 6.1, organisation and community services report. And that is...
Yeah.
I'm happy to answer any questions
Fine.
you might have about that report.
Where is Nauru still shut for outside people? It was
No.
there a few weeks ago.
Yes, it was. No, not any longer. We had a bit of a win with Nauru. I don't know if you're aware or not. I think you would be that most aged care facilities that weren't local government run were able to get a subsidy for the extra costs that COVID brought to them. But we, as a council operated facility, weren't permitted to access that funding. Sharon followed that up, and we've just found out this week that we did get some additional subsidy for the additional RN hours that it cost us when we were in the depths of COVID. So that was a lovely relief.
Yeah.
She's very good, Sharon, isn't she? Did they all get that new payroll? Did it all come in or not?
Yes, it did.
It did.
Yeah.
I think everything's good. The kids that we had from Willoughby were great kids this year. We had a lovely exchange with them. Can I have a mover if there's no further questions? Tiffany?
Seconder.
I'll take it.
Nash? Marilyn, councillor. Next. Can I have a show of hands for it? Yes. Okay, passed. The next one is page 31, your executive services.
Yeah, happy to try to answer any questions.
I've got to get to page 31. Makes it easier.
We had a meeting last night with some of the more vocal objectors to the demolition of the Memorial Hall, and one of them questioned how many staff were going to be located in the building. And what amazed me, I think, is that they have absolutely no idea of what services that we provide as an organisation.
They wouldn't.
because we earlier in the week, we also had a meeting with the Office of Local Government about an unintentional breach of the Local Government Act, which seemed to cause them some concern. But I think they were surprised at the scope of what we provide as well.
I think people have no idea and are not appreciative because I don't think they go out of their bubble or something. Just see, if you drive through going south, like if you're at the end of Tamworth Shire, they get nothing. We're so lucky here. What we have, our facilities, everything, and I just don't think enough people appreciate it.
I'm so sick of hearing about the reference to 2004 and thinking that things haven't changed since then, since amalgamation, you know.
Yeah.
The reference last night was when we amalgamated, we were supposed to save money, and now you've got all these people, and, you know, that was...
Or the double ups of staff that we have, and I would love to know where there's a single double up.
Yeah.
Those sort of people, you don't see them come out and enjoy what we've got.
And I would say there was
Busy
people
knocking
in
the
that
place.
there was people in that room that would have been recipients of some of our social service initiatives that council run because no one else will do them in the community. It was quite frustrating for me to sit there and you know, the reference to 2004, our aged care facility has doubled in responsibility. Yeah, it's just frustrating, but
It is. It's very, you go home and, you're really deflated because, I don't know, they just mustn't look outside to see what we've got, even since 2004. Like, what have we got in the last few years anyway? We've got a new pool and got a bypass.
In upgrades.
You know, we've got all these things.
And all the little communities have benefited as well. It's not just the major towns.
Exactly.
No, it's the
Every
communities.
small community in the last 6 years can't say that money's been spent or they've missed out because everywhere has had upgrades.
We've been out to meetings in those communities and they're all very happy.
and I dread to think how our community would have survived the drought without our council being as proactive.
Exactly.
I think the people sitting in this room need to be so proud of how our council performed during that period. And again, there would have been recipients in that room that benefited from that. But it's just a little bit disappointing that people don't realise that from 2004, evolution deems that things change, and you know, our council is something we should be proud of. I certainly am, or I wouldn't be still here.
And if you have a look, which is very interesting, last Saturday we stopped to speak to somebody on the golf course that had a friend up that just came and suddenly wants to retire here because it's so beautiful. And you hear those sort of things from outsiders and you feel proud. And he can't buy a house anywhere. Like he went to put a deposit down, and somebody else put the deposit down on that Friday. So now he's going looking again, and you feel proud when you hear all these outsiders, but then the insiders that don't go out of their bubble can do nothing but knock it.
And they've been like it all their life, so I wouldn't worry about
That's the
them.
problem.
I thought that was good. We had some good ideas come out of last night's meeting with regard to how we acknowledge servicemen and people. I like that term, thank you for your service. So it's not just people that were killed at war, it's people that are still serving. So I like that thinking, and I'm sure there's something we can do tastefully in the landscaping that will...
The bricks and the as where possible.
I don't know whether you heard, but one of the people said we can't put names up because then you always forget someone and you always end up in trouble. So you just acknowledge by thank you.
I was involved with a Currajong Memorial that was established in Inverell 25 years ago, and we originally went through and tried to get every single Currajong person, and for exactly the reason you just stated, the memorial ended up with no names on it at all.
Yeah.
Because there was always going to be somebody that was missed or somebody that there was some contention as to whether they should have been on the wall, so the memorial just is the memorial.
Yeah.
I think Madge is right, the same people are going to be there serving. But if you look around both Binga and Warrialla and a lot of these other little communities, the amount of work that's being done around the towns and that now, and that
That's
has
right.
been done, unbelievable, I reckon.
Yeah. And my
Well, you keep,
program,
how many times a day do you say, you know, something happens in Melbourne or Brisbane, fires and
yeah.
robberies and things? It's not too bad living out here, I don't reckon. And,
All the early childhood services we provide and that sort of thing, they're services that are done by the government in other places, but we auspice all of those sort of things, don't we? It's just need to be. Right, can I have a move of the report if there's no further questions? Chair? Someone to second it? Technical services, Alex.
Happy to take any questions on the content of the report. It's a little bit out of date, given that it was for the committee meeting that was shuffled into this one. And there are a couple of things I just wanted to highlight that were not in the report. Progress with the Bingra sewer extension. There's 600 metres of line left to lay out of 10 kilometres, 9.4 k's in the ground, which is an amazing effort.
Yeah, that's great.
Given how little disturbance we've seen, and I think about 45 of the 87 plots are in the ground also. Spoke at the last meeting about the issues we've been having with Transport for New South Wales and their flood damage payments. On the last day of the financial year, they got us back to square, and we hope that that was the start of regular payments as is legislated under the DRFA, and we didn't receive a payment in August. We didn't receive a payment in July. So we're going to have to make some pretty tough decisions about how we move forward with the disaster recovery stuff if Transport's going to continue on the path they're on. And it's not just disaster recovery where they're doing this. The RMCC works, so the state road works that we're contracted to do, which we need to keep because they maintain staff and they provide a small stream of income. We have a project that is 6 weeks, about 6 weeks in, which Transport for New South Wales have not issued a work order for. The work order that they issue is the basis for us claiming expenses back. I've told them if we don't have one in a fortnight, we're walking away from our RMCC's works temporarily. We're not their bank, and I don't know why or where there's a cash flow problem in Transport for New South Wales, but the fact that council's wearing it is something that I don't think we can tolerate as much as we have been in the past, especially given the Act breach that Max referred to earlier.
Can I just say that I went to the OLG meeting the other day, which was an eye-opener for me. I'm just like the rest of you and we hear about it. The staff handled it beautifully with telling these people what our problems were, and they admitted their problems that everyone else has too, but no one does anything about it. And certainly no one mentioned the audit committee. They mentioned the New South Wales government, but not the audit committee. Is everyone really scared of them? And it was quite eye-opening for me to go to that meeting and hear.
And it is a big frustration. They know the issues councils are facing. They know everything, but they're very quick to put a black mark against your name if you don't comply with what, even though they know full well why you're not.
They knew it wasn't our problem, and yet we had to accept the black mark. So it was quite eye-opening.
We're almost at the 50% mark on the IB Bore Road project, and given that's a 20 kilometre project, that's a nice milestone to be getting to be approaching. Our Getageta Road project is probably 3 to 4 months away from completion, and it's a 21 kilometre job. We've mobilised to County Boundary Road and have started there. So there's an awful lot happening in the road space. Yeah, happy to take any questions on anything else.
Alex, can we, I think I spoke to you before, maybe I didn't, can we have a opening of the Horton Road and invite someone, because there was some people that weren't there that wanted to be there, and they want it put out with media so that people know to use the road?
So I think the best way to attack that will be Adam Marshall will want to do cut a ribbon and put something on his social media, state government funded. Perhaps when we get word from Adam's office that they're wanting to do that, we use that as the opportunity to invite the public, and perhaps the public can be part of that press release that Adam does.
Yep, very good. I just want to say how good the orange trees are looking down there. The boys are doing a great job fixing them all up, and they're really proud of them. Which
They've done a great job.
It shows
And they take a lot of
They
pride.
have ownership like that.
They do. They're really proud of them, those boys, and they're doing an amazing job. And the other day I was going for a walk, and I went for a walk through the caravan park when there was all the Rotary people here, and it was full. And I went and had a look at the new amenities, but they're all cautioned off, of course, and they look really good. And it was so good to see the all the Rotary people were sitting chatting under the gazebo thing and having a really good time. So
Yeah, Chief.
good to see that.
Can you just give us a brief idea of what's happening with Werns Road?
Yes, there's a report in the confidential session about appointing a supplier for gravel for that project.
Yep.
We intend to construct that road using contractors that are part of our panel contract for the supply of earth moving equipment, for wet hire of earth moving equipment. We have local government engineering services. They've actually come up from Port Macquarie to design the floodways, and SMK consultants in Moree are going through the environmental approval now. I think that we're most likely going to see a start date sometime early October.
Can I just say, two years ago, you never would have imagined that we would be doing work on that road.
No.
It's extraordinary,
Yeah.
the level of government grants that we've been receiving.
Yeah.
It's desperately needed it, but
The people on Werns Road are pretty happy that
yeah, I
something's
know,
happening.
especially the motorbike rider.
Alex, that road that I talked about the other day that I thought might have a little bit of gravel sheeting problem, I don't know whether this is, but I know there's a bit of a quarry happening on David Young's place where he's been getting some shale out if you happen to need it. I don't know where you use it out there or where you get sourced from.
I
Gilroy Road.
know there's a pit on Ginroy that we use. I'm not sure if it's David Jones or somebody else's, but we will do a patch using material from that road, from that area on that road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just know because I drove over
I think our
David's the other
federal
day and
member,
I
one of
saw
our federal members owns land out there too, doesn't
Yeah.
not the one
Yeah,
I'm talking
he
about.
No, he's
Place.
closer to the highway end, so he doesn't
He doesn't have any of that.
travel the Ginneroy Road.
There won't be a federal grant coming for it.
We don't let the federal member on the Ginneroy Road. He hasn't got access to that.
Yeah.
There is another gravel pit on my nephew's place, on Hugh Colton's place, that's been used up the other end. I know it's a pretty hard pit, but hard to win the gravel. But
I'm not saying that David's is, but I just happen to know that
there's a couple of pits along there.
Are there any more questions for Alex?
Happy to remove the report.
Thank you. Seconder? Chris?
Chris?
All in favour? Okay. Warialda Community Warriors Op Shop Management Committee, 355 of Council.
I've declared an interest because I'm a member of that community committee. I'm happy to leave or be here to answer
No.
questions.
It's not a leave matter, is it?
No, she doesn't have thought.
No.
I think this is a great idea. I see how successful our shop in Bingra is and how it helps many people in more ways than one. Like it gets people, besides having the place where you can purchase things, it also gets people that normally wouldn't venture out meeting and yeah, it's been a very, very good.
How's the op shop in Morialda going?
At the moment, we're trying to gather resources and tradespeople to restore it. We've got a plan. We've just got to make sure we've got enough budget to bring it back. It's a bit challenging, the little old building, but it'll be extraordinary when it's done.
Good. I can come and paint the door for you.
Awesome. There's a whole lot of emotional attachment in Morialda to that building, so it'd be lovely to
Yeah.
see it come back.
Yeah. Be great for challenge too.
Yes.
Be fantastic for them.
How much is it going to take to get it furnished or what?
Don't know quite yet. I haven't got the builders the community builders are coming together and they're going to do some work for me, but I haven't been able to pin them down on that figure. But it's like $10,000 to replace the safety glass and $7,000 to do the foundations, but they're all doing it for materials. You know, it's been really heartening.
I think it'll be good, you know. I think
Yeah.
communities, that sort of thing, bring the communities together.
It does, yeah.
It does.
And I'm really impressed and humbled by the community interest. You know, the ladies that were the Vinnie's volunteers, they, some of them say they're too old to volunteer, but they want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And then you've got other community people, for instance, the ladies that go to bingo at the commercial hotel on a Wednesday, they're knocking on our door saying they'll volunteer as long as we've got coffee and stuff there.
David, did you want to be the
Way to go.
councillor rep on that? Because Jen's involved in it, isn't she?
Yeah, well, yeah, Jen, yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
That's the funniest thing I've heard.
No, well, Jen has expressed, my wife has expressed an interest in being part of that, having been to Vinnie's and being very disappointed at what happened with Vinnie's, and it's very interesting to see that St Vincent de Paul building is still unoccupied and probably will stay that way for some time by the sound of it. I've not heard anything about where they're going. I know there was an offer to purchase, but doesn't seem to, that hasn't seemed to progress, so it's sad to see that building sitting there not doing anything.
It's nice to see a buzz in these buildings. Like I can imagine yours in Warialda is going to be like ours with the interest you've had.
Much smaller, but yeah, Bev's
Yeah.
actually helping the committee to set up and
You walk past, either if you're walking going, if you're out the back or up the front, whatever, you walk past and there's a real buzz in there and giving people a purpose.
Have you thought to approach the Bingra op shop for financial assistance?
no, just for the governance stuff we have, but okay, awesome.
I think that the committee would look favourably on making a contribution towards that.
Okay,
When's the next meeting?
thank you.
I'll be there.
I haven't
Not
heard
for
from
quite some time, but the committee can make
Oh, that-
decisions anyway.
Yeah, I know. I didn't get
Not
to
as
it. I was
much.
in Tamworth
It's
the
gonna
other
be
day.
Councillor rep.
representative. So the officer's recommendation has to have that added to it, doesn't it?
Good went in. Janine said, "Yeah, me $1 for your mum."
Yeah, Janine will be on you like a tiger.
Right. Jude give it to her. She said, "I'll give the $1 change to your mother."
The recommendation now is, as per the agenda, plus further that the councillor's representative is Councillor David Colton.
I said recommendation.
The move, say?
Chris is moving it. Marilyn, you seconded it, did you?
Yeah.
Thank you. we've had this child safety report put before us before. Is there anything anyone wants to ask? Who's the author of that?
I'm happy to.
Susie. It's Susie's area, isn't it? Are there any questions for Leah?
And what's the expectation for individuals to get accredited to be able to look after children? Do they have to be directly responsible for what I'm talking about, working with children
Okay.
status?
Yep.
Um,
So what this legislation deems is, as an organisation, as part of our induction for every staff member that we employ, we have to educate them on the child safe legislation that we've got, but only people that work directly with young people and children require the working with children check. So,
okay.
and this, it's more than just Susie's social services area. It has to underpin everything we do as a council.
Yeah.
You know, when we're building buildings, for instance, we went to when we were talking about the Bingra office with Struxy in Toowoomba the other day, we were looking at the placement of the public toilets, and it was behind. Now that council's considering keeping the facade, the public toilets that were to be on the side area would be blocked a little bit vision-wise from the main street. So keeping in mind the child safe requirements that we have, we've moved those public toilets around so they face the main street. You know, it has to underpin everything we do. And the training that we do for new staff will be basic, I suppose, but it'll be all to do about what, if they're out in the field and they see something of concern, what they need to do re-reporting. So it's a good thing, but it's a big thing for council to have to implement in everything we do. So.
The question arose because people at the op shop have kids going in the op shop and needed to know whether they should all have working with children checks.
No. You could have a policy that they do, if you like, as an organisation, which, you know, it's up to the
It's pretty
management
onerous,
committee.
really. It's an onerous process.
It's a cost too.
And I don't, like, that would be the same as every shopkeeper.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't
wouldn't
have
worry
to,
about it.
because, yeah, otherwise it would be no different to the butchers or the bakers or the
No.
IGA, yeah, in my thoughts.
I agree.
That's the decision we've made for the op shop.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to clarify.
It's a cost as well.
We won't do that. We'll give that to Cheltenham, that cost.
I'll put my check with yours.
Okay.
Do we have any more questions for Leah? Otherwise, the recommendation is on page, I just lost it.
Thank you for all reading through those multiple pages.
Yeah.
I think I read every bit.
No need for confession.
Some of the words blurred a bit.
Recommendations on page 70, if I could have someone move that recommendation.
I'll move it.
Helen and Tiffany. Thank you. All in favour?
Right.
Yes.
Four. Now we've gone to Helen.
Yes, and I'd like to sincerely apologise. Part of the table is actually incorrect. In there it is saying our total cash investments is 13 million. It should actually say 27 million. I've obviously...
Good thing, Deborah. Sorry.
so I'll have to send through a revised
Pretty ordinary
report.
mistake.
Just running through the correct figures for the cash investment. So there's actually $27,012,000 in cash investments. Water fund restrictions are 1.4, sewer is 3, waste is 4.5. With all our other restrictions, we still have a discretionary fund at the moment of 5.2. That will drastically change with the speed at which the sewer is being done. There'll be a huge payment come out for the sewer fund.
Found it.
That was the borrowed portion of that will come out. So, and the total cash holding, where the blue dot is, that is actually correct where our current cash position is sitting. And the rates collection is correct, but I will send through so the minutes do show the correct figures in that table. I do apologise.
Everything all right.
don't know. She gets black mark for that.
Helen, why did we fall just a teeny bit, not much, below in our rates collection for this quarter?
I'm not sure. I mean, we haven't been actively chasing rates like we were prior to the drought. We're just starting to crank that back up now with the sale for unpaid rates. Interest will start to get charged again, so that hopefully will get people back on track to paying their rates, because there hasn't really been any repercussions for not paying them, because we haven't charged interest on them through the drought.
The drought's been over for 3 years, so
I don't think so. It's coming back again.
it's coming back, but it's been over.
So I can't say for certain, but I would hope to see that by the end of this month we're back on track.
Sometimes if we defer those sort of things, we only make it more difficult when it's catch-up time. So
But I
ways to look at it.
I think once it becomes public knowledge that we are doing the sale for unpaid rates, that will spur a few people on as well to realise that we are being very active, and because it has been a very long time.
Question, Helen. I noticed on my personal rate notice that my first payment was very, very low, but then I went up to, was that,
I would imagine you were in front of your rates.
I didn't think I was that generous, but anyway.
Yeah, well, it gets split out over the 4 months equally, but if anything's been forward paid, it comes off the the first lot that's due.
Okay. So it was a good surprise, but
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember doing something in front.
Or your pension rebate's been taken off your first payment potentially. But yeah, I would imagine it gets split equally, the total cost for the year, but then once payments come in, it doesn't get split evenly anymore. It's off whatever's due first.
Right. Very good, thank you.
Do we have any more questions of Helen?
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you.
Yeah, with the adjusted report.
Is that adjustment? Yes.
I'll second that.
Chris is seconding that. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving to councillors' reports. I'll start, Dave, you can go first.
Thank you, Catherine. Just a report on a meeting that was held yesterday that Alex and I attended by Teams meeting with the RFS. In regard to the M&R expenditure for the RFS, we had a budget of 178,000. The actual expenditure was 205,000, and then that included GST. So when you brought it back, that was 186,000. Apparently, the overrun or the overcosting has got to be borne by council, not by the RFS. So I think that's something we should take up with RFS headquarters, either through Narrabri or direct to Sydney, because I don't see why, with the increase in costs, that the council should have to wear this extra expense of M&R, because we pay enough in emergency services levies and all sorts of other things, and I think the statement was made that Guida, of the three councils, it was a three-council meeting, Guida has the most vehicles, most bushfire vehicles.
Yeah, we have the same budget.
But we have the same budget as the other councils. The budgets are equal, so everybody got 178,000, and we've got to service more vehicles, and so forth and so on. So I just feel it's something we should be taking up with the RFS, be it through well, I'd probably be heading straight to head office, I think, instead of, I don't think they have the authority to do that, but in accordance with that, I would move that way, that we do contact the RFS and voice our displeasure and ask for this to be rectified, because there were other councils that had actual underspend in their budget.
In the same group.
In the same group.
And we were informed there was no capacity for the overspend that Guida has worn to be funded by the underspend in the adjacent councils.
Can't transfer the money.
And I think, just to add to Councillor Colton's comments, this really is just a more strength to the argument that RFS needs to be a standalone entity and cease being this bastard child of local government and state government. This arrangement where the RFS appears to and believes to have freedom to spend council money at their discretion in excess of an allocated budget, while is really just salt in the wound of already wearing the depreciation of their red fleet on our books. It's ridiculous.
Alex, can I ask you how many vehicles we have got in our shire? Is that something we know?
RFS vehicles. We're doing an audit at the moment. There's a requirement that there's an audit of every RFS asset. I think it's the Auditor General that wants it, isn't it? Or the Audit Office. So I can report back at the next meeting, if you like, once that audit's done, with some exact.
I would like to think you could, but from what Penny has been dealing with the RFS, she can get no information from the RFS at all about what assets we've got, what purchases have been made. Just as a timeline, in early July, Penny emailed Michael Brooks, who's our head guy. She got a list of the assets but no dollar figures on the list. She asked for further information. He's now on auto reply to say he's unavailable and no idea when he'll be back.
He's back. He was at the meeting yesterday. He chaired the meeting yesterday.
Yeah, right. So he will not get back to Penny with any information. She's called the local RFS number and she keeps getting referred to a Shane Smallcombe at Moree. He's also sent through the asset list but no dollar figures on what anything is worth or how long we've had it. She's emailed Tamworth for the local area command and got no reply. She's called the RFS headquarters in Sydney and they've just referred her back to Moree. She's even spoken to the Director of Local Government New South Wales because they usually send through the list of Red Fleet to councils, and he said Treasury haven't even given LG New South Wales the asset list, and they weren't sure they were even going to get it this year. And so we're now at the end of August and councils are supposed to be doing these audits that have been requested and no councils have got asset lists to even be able to do it.
It's getting very secret squirrel, isn't it?
Yes.
This timeline that Helen's just gone over really illustrates the almost contempt RFS or the lack of care for council that they have. Things work for them. If it works for them, that's great. And hell with council with the consequences.
Which I'm not.
It's sour taste in your mouth.
And it proves the control issue that they keep banging on about. We have no control.
Yeah.
We have no idea what's going on. We can't even access the information when requested.
And you see a group officer driving around in a virtually brand new four-wheel drive Land Cruiser.
I played golf the other day. I'll say something. We played golf. We're on the 6th green, right there at the corner, and there were 7 went through with all at different stages with sirens blaring, and you thought, really, where have they all come from? And they came from, you could hear them coming down that way and up that way, and you thought, 7 of them, and that's not even our own locals.
Well,
Where did they come from?
While we're on that subject, I was up the street, I think it was one day last week, and we heard sirens, and you immediately walk out the door and see, I was at the shop, and you immediately walk out the door and see where the sirens are coming from, and it was our local RFS vehicle, and it just had the sirens on. It came screaming down here, like there was no need for it. If an ambulance or a police officer comes through, they put their sirens on, but they're still cautious. They had smokers. They went round this corner and nearly collected someone as they went past Fate. Like, it was just ridiculous. And there was myself and Lenore and Rodney. We all noticed it, and yeah, it was very careless, really careless. Someone just being stupid in the vehicle.
So who was the driver?
Couldn't see who was the driver.
No, I think we've got to, and if we've got to go political with it, I think we should.
I do
because it's-
too.
It's just getting out of
I do
hand.
too, Dave.
This was very dangerous,
Yeah.
really
Just a power.
dangerous.
And they had no need to have sirens blaring like that. The ambulance I think they have a policy where they don't play it, do they, unless they need to clear
Put it on when they're going up with this.
so that it's not stressing to everyone.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of excitement for them and everything else, and they, where the rest of us are out there fighting the fire, you'll see them, floating around there in a big new vehicle and sirens going and not doing it.
Who actually fights a fire? That one out there, the people there were like, I was going to say this in confidential, but the locals there said, all right, we've had this, let's backburn now so that we've done the job.
Yeah.
Oh, now we have to go to Sydney. So for 2 hours, they waited for Sydney to give them permission to do something that might have taken them an hour to do. By the time Sydney got back to them, the wind had changed. You couldn't do it all over. And you
Yeah,
think
all
to
the
yourself,
time, yeah.
where is the...
Anyway, that's my report.
Thank you, Dave.
We'll write a letter.
Yeah, it
Very strongly
strongly worded
About the
letter,
efficiency of it.
and I
to
would.
Mr Albanese so we get a response in similar tone.
I mean, I'd even CC in the local member.
Yeah, and Commissioner Rogers too. I should write to him and Adam.
Yep.
And Phil Copenberg for the hierarchy he's created that has no benefits to us. He's a...
His legacy, isn't it?
Eh?
It's Phil's legacy.
It is his legacy, yeah. Tiffany. Thank you, Dave.
I just want to say I think after yesterday we talked about lots of positive things. To see all that, like we're talking about what our community does, to see all those hay trucks come into town, that's extraordinary. You wonder how many other communities are getting that. I don't know whether all communities are getting it or we're just lucky, but to see, that's extraordinary to see something like that come and they're on top of it now before it gets too late. So I'm just saying that
There's
on a
another
positive.
one coming next week.
Yeah, I know, on the 5th. And I just want to say that on a positive note. The defibs, are they, like, I know where we've got them, like at the swimming pool and all the various places, but when the swimming pool is shut, that's probably not a good example because there's council staff working over there, but when places are shut, do those defibs get used somewhere else, or are they just, like, could they be placed somewhere else so they're not just sitting there?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
The defibs.
The
that we have
defibs,
down
right?
at the
So
showground.
say at the football oval,
Yep.
when football season's not on, or when swimming season isn't on, they could be used somewhere else. Obviously not the swimming pool because, well, maybe the Warrialda swimming pool because, yeah, they're just sitting there.
The portable ones, we could certainly,
Yeah,
that would be a way to keep them maintained.
I'm just thinking to keep them maintained. I just did the update of my CPR on whatever last weekend, and it was just brought up there, and I was just thinking, well,
A lot of them are owned by the committees themselves, but what we found, and Councillor Matthews brought it up, and then we went on that voyage of discovery that we get them, we have them, but we don't maintain them.
yeah, and
as
I
groups.
know ours at the medical centre is checked
Yeah.
every morning, and at the hospital it's checked at midnight when you go around and do your checks, and I just think they're not being utilised.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, so that was one thing.
The mayor has sent a photo.
Of a telephone
Oh.
box.
Yeah, but read what's on the top of it.
Oh, defibrillator.
The defibrillators in England
Are in the old red
are in
phone
the old
boxes.
red phone boxes.
Andy?
Yeah.
Good idea.
That is a good idea.
Exactly better.
You have
haven't
to
got
do
any red
vertical
phone boxes.
defibrillation instead of horizontal defibrillation.
And just one other thing, Alex, the
It was
you know the email I sent you about the creek down that Boyles brought up down at the end of
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
They haven't had a follow-up phone call for that. Could
So have they, can I talk to you about that?
yeah. I just wanted to bring that up.
Sure.
That's the concrete in the theatre, yeah. In,
In Halls Creek.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get the RFS to pull it out of the creek.
That it?
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I'll leave. There's a couple of things I'll bring up a bit later on. You know.
Chris?
I went out to Cranky Rock the other day, and some of the signage, especially on the top viewing platforms, deteriorated because of sun damage, so it's almost illegible. That probably needs to have something done about it. A couple of other things, there was an old tyre laying on the path down to the river, and the clasp for the chain. I don't know if that gate needs to be, the gate into the river needs to be able to be closed, but it can't be. It closes, but the chain's not long enough to go over the peg to
Down into the
secure
water.
it. Yeah. That might be a child safety issue.
Is that it, Chris?
That's all. Thank you.
Mash?
Yeah, so just wondering, Alex, the toilets at the Gully Rec Ground, do you know when they're going to start, the new ones?
I don't. They're LRCI round 4, I think, so there's June 30 next year's the finish.
Well, I remember that.
I know, and it might be the 29th of June that we have them done by. I'll send a text message now and I'll find out.
And also, thanks for Nicholson over, the grass is that high. Went and checked it the other day. I told them not to mow it.
I'm going to say you should have taken your mower, councillor.
Yeah.
can I make a comment about the gully toilets, because I'm concerned about the length of time it's taken too.
Yeah,
We're trying to get a price from Unibuilt to provide the toilets there so that they get there in a timely manner, because if we wait for our staff, they're
Yeah.
tied up in the Nicholson Oval, and then they go from there to finish the interpretive centre at the living classroom, so they're not going to get around to that.
no, I don't.
The trouble is we might have to curtail. We had envisaged there'd be a little veranda and all, a nice little setup for it, but we might have to just bring it back to just one sort of unisex disabled toilet.
I reckon that's okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're working on that.
Good. How's the fire going at the Gully Tip?
It's out.
It was out yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's out.
They've still got the road closed into it.
Yeah. No, I noticed that there was no smoke, but the road was closed. I assume they might have been cleaning up or
I would
something.
expect so. I think we
Next.
can share what was shared with us yesterday, that
Yeah.
the RFS have said that that fire was almost certainly arson, because it came back on about 3 times after it was.
3 times, yeah. But there were other fires lit in other areas.
There's been a spiritual burner around.
Probably, yeah, well,
He's locked up.
He's in.
Yeah, they took him.
that was spoken about as well.
We should have who's going in there, don't we?
I thought,
The codes, but the
The camera
numbers.
there as well.
Sorry.
There's a camera there as
I
well.
thought there was cameras there.
Yeah.
Can they walk in and go under the,
I don't know.
You walk in from the road, there really
It's
is.
a sole question, but I'll.
Alex question, a sole question.
I didn't think there was a camera
also,
there.
it got out of the tip and was sort of going around the back of the tip out into private land. So it was brought up that at the time that they would like us to put some fire breaks around the back of the tips. I think there was one done at Bingra.
Whoever's doing it, if they're regular users of the tip, they're crazy.
Yeah, they're mad.
They'll be banned. Yeah.
They'll say, well, that's enough.
Yeah.
What was actually burning Dave, mainly tyres, was it?
No,
Terribly
what-
black
no,
smoke.
it certainly looked like tyres,
Yeah.
Jeff, but, because I asked that question, I was talking to Carl about it, and he said, no, it was just purely the rubbish pit itself. It didn't get into the tyres. They managed to keep it away from the tyres because it was a heck of a black smoke that
Yeah, it was really black.
because we were going to Tamworth at the time, and yeah, it was a big black smoke. But then, but it was the actual pit itself that went up apparently.
Yeah, that's all I've got, Kath.
That's all. Thank you.
Sorry, I've got one more thing. Just another one on a positive note, because last night it was sort of brought to our attention that we had nowhere for people to have weddings and things like that that was affordable. And I think people need to have a good look around, because on the weekend I went to a 60th birthday party at the Living Classroom, and there was people from away that were commenting about how wonderful it was. The people that hired that for the weekend couldn't praise it enough. They went, everything was so neat and tidy up there. It looked beautiful, and they decorated it beautifully. So I think there's lots of options.
Only if you're looking.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
not remembering 1981.
Yes.
It was
We do
absolutely
need a cool
beautiful.
room at that living
We
classroom.
do need a cool room at the Living Classroom. That's when we can get a grant. That's one thing we do
Yeah.
need up there. But like they were just saying how wonderful it was. They had it decorated. I did say to Carmen to get some photos for, to share with people of how it was decorated, because I've been to a few different functions that people have just had different ideas, and it's beautiful up there.
It's beautiful.
When we had Katie's 21st up there, her grandparents come from Tamworth. They couldn't believe it.
Yeah, people
coming
can't
back.
believe it.
They're going to come back next year at Easter. I said, well, you want to book it now for a reunion.
Yeah. People can't believe it. And I think it's totally booked out for Christmas. There's a family in there for Christmas, so all the family can be together. Like, we are lucky.
Do we have needs of a portable cool room? Would it be something like our stage that we could hire?
I just think up there
I don't
it
know.
would be utilised enough
Yeah.
because, it is getting used more often, don't you think, Max?
Yeah,
There's been a few weddings there. There's another one in November.
Only got that one little fridge.
Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
it would go in that room where,
Cool room in that room.
Not overly dear.
No,
Some of them
I
are.
bought one years ago and got it from Dubbo or something, a new one, and
yeah.
put it on the back of a trailer and put it together myself. Yeah.
A portable one would work.
little
though.
kitchen, then it's right there. You could put it in that area.
Exactly, yeah. People have them in
Definitely needs it though.
People have cool rooms in the kitchens.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be better outside where we're
I think
trying.
if you're walking in there, because you're getting everything out of there, especially for catering purposes, there's more weddings going up there. Like, I think there's another wedding soon up there.
There's one in November, I know.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking
Got to keep
about.
them going.
Chair, just one further, I forgot this one, I attended the BROC meeting as the alternate delegate 2 weeks ago. Very interesting meeting, it was held at Cunnamulla, and it's a township of similar size to our two main towns. And what they've done up there is absolutely fantastic, what they're doing to attract tourism. Obviously, particularly with grant money, but they've built this centre on the levee bank of the river, the Warrego River, that will actually have 4 hot water pools, artesian pools in it, and exercise rooms and function rooms and that sort of thing. I think it was about $11.5 million. It was absolutely fantastic, and a new sewage treatment plant, an operation that I've never seen before. That was done with these big rotating drums. So a very interesting place to visit, and it was a very good meeting actually as well. And so thank you for the opportunity to go.
What's the council, David? Is it,
Pardon?
what's the council?
The council is Paru. Paroo Council, but it's not on the Paroo River. There is a Paroo River too as well, but it's on the Warrego River, which is got a good body of water beside it at the moment, and of course they're all concerned, but their farming practices out there, there's a couple of irrigation pivots that pump out of the river. There was only one in operation, so, but mainly their agricultural pursuits are livestock, cattle mainly, and goats. Sheep are starting to make their comeback now that they're using exclusion fencing. They're starting to make a bit of a comeback because of wild dogs were decimating their flocks, but yeah, goats is a big business out there. It was, but pretty dry country.
How long did it take you to get there?
Not long in an aeroplane.
Oh, okay.
The longest part of the trip was from Warialda to Goondiwindi, I think.
Yeah.
In the car, but no, it was a good trip.
Sorry, Catherine, I got one more. I'm a bit
Yes, Stuart?
No, I just want to tell everyone that we have Justin Herald coming, who is a motivational speaker who spoke in Warialda some years ago. And he will be at the Roxy on the 4th of September at 6 p.m. He is well worth coming to listen to, especially I think now with staff shortages and customer service and all that. I've got him coming here on the Monday night, and he will be speaking at the school on the Tuesday. It's a free event, but I do need people to register. I've delivered letters to every business in town, clubs and pubs and businesses. Just if everyone can put the word, because people haven't booked in, put the word out there to come. He's very worth listening to.
Pretty good, Warialda.
He was, yeah. You come away feeling motivated.
Yeah.
And I think, especially now, where people are having so many problems with staff and motivation, might get people moving. But we haven't got many booked in, and
I have to say the one at Warialda that was, what was that fellow's name from the mine? That was very poorly,
yeah,
and yet it was a free event and really worthwhile.
yeah. I've been to I've shared it on Facebook, so if everyone can share it. I've taken letters around to every business.
Okay.
It'd be terrible for him to come all this way and then see 6 people sitting
When is
there.
it on?
It's at the Roxy on Monday the 4th.
September.
Yep, 6 p.m.
Nothing else? It's morning tea time.
The recommendations from the Committee of the Whole to the Council are confidential organisation and community services report that the report be received. Additional sale of land for unpaid rates and charges. The recommendation is that Council implements proceedings to sell the properties listed in this report at a public auction at a time and place to be determined pursuant to Section 713 and other relevant sections of the Local Government Act 1993 and regulations. Further, that the Centre for Sustainable Debt Recovery Proprietary Limited, Recouper, be appointed to administer the sale on Council's behalf. Further, that Council authorises Council staff and Recouper to proceed with the necessary arrangements pertaining to the sale of the properties listed in this report as set out in the Local Government Act 1993 and Local Government General Regulation 2005. Further, the Council authorises the General Manager to withdraw from auction any property occupied by a ratepayer who, in the General Manager's opinion, is suffering extreme and unusual hardship or ill health, or who, prior to the commencement of the auction, has made an acceptable arrangement for the repayment of the outstanding rates and charges. Further, that Council authorises the General Manager or their delegate to execute contracts and transfer documents pertaining to the properties specified in the body of the report. Further, the Council reserves the right to withdraw the property from sale for technical or legal reasons. The gravel tender, the recommendation is that it is recommended that Council adopt a list of recognised contractors to be invited to quote for the proposed supply and delivery of granite road-based material as a panel contract comprising the following companies, subject to agreement of terms and conditions: ATJS Earthworks Proprietary Limited, Regional Quarries Australia Proprietary Limited. Provide delegated authority to the General Manager to conduct all relevant functions under the panel contract. In relation to the items for discussion, the recommendation to the Council is that the Council move forward on the commencement of the development application for the proposed new Binga office and chambers and undertaking the work required to better firm up the estimate. Further, that a community meeting held on Tuesday the 19th of September 2023 to discuss what is proposed for the replacement of the Binga office and chambers. That the Council finalises the purchase of a minimum of 150 acres, which currently forms part of the property Longview, 135 Burunda Drive, Warialda, for the agreed price. Further, that the common seal of Council be affixed to any necessary documentation, and that once the purchase has been settled, that the land be classified as operational land. That the committee meeting scheduled for Thursday the 14th of September 2023 not be held. So I think that's been moved by Councillor D. Colton and seconded by Councillor Galvin.
So now we have to.
We just got to put it to be adopted.
So is everyone happy with that? And we'll get in favour? All right.
Closed?
Pardon?
We closed already.
Well, we'll close the meeting now and Alex can go because he's really desperate to get on the road.
It's okay, I can wait till the meeting's ended, but it's
The meeting has closed.